What's going on, guys? This is Martyrs Brigade 99 coming to you once again with another session of Dark Souls commentaries. Alright guys, I know we just defeated Seath the Scaleless, but I am just showing you how you would go about completing the events for good old Big Hat Logan. So, what you would do is, after defeating Seath the Scaleless, and hopefully after purchasing all of the sorceries, Big Hat Logan is kind of going to go nuts, right? He's going to act like he doesn't know you, and he's basically going to disappear after that interaction. And and basically where he disappears to is the place where you initially met up with Seath the Scaleless. After you defeat him, you'll go ahead and get the 10 crystallization catalysts, in addition to the large magic. Well, that was pretty ridiculous. In addition to the large magic ember, right? And just for the sake of including it, we're just going to go ahead and go over that area, and then after that, back to business. Okay, really nothing special about this. We've been here about twice before. Alright guys, one thing to keep in mind, and this is not related to the series. I know a lot of my subscribers subscribed because I did a lot of PvP videos, right? Now, just to give you guys a heads up, I am returning to PvP. This was my break from PvP. You know, I decided to do something a little different. But after this series is complete, I am diving straight back into PvP, right? Because that's basically what I love most about the game. The main reason why I created this series was because I would have a lot of guys, like, they might watch my videos and they'll just ask me questions about my build stats and all like that. And I've even had a number of guys ask me, like, hey dude, I mean, how do you create your builds? You know, like, what is the process? What exactly do you do and whatnot? Right? So, because I received a reasonable amount of questions concerning PvP building, I just decided to put a series together to give you guys an idea as to how I go about doing it. Right? Because one thing about me, when I'm creating a build, I first decide what the stats are going to be. Right? There's a website that I go to. It's like some kind of Mugen monkey or something like that. I'll add the link in the description box. And once I kind of figure out how exactly I want to construct my build, at that point, you know, I'll go ahead and start the game. I'll go ahead and bottomless box the weapons that I'm going to use. Right? Because after you play this game so many times, nobody's going to go and, you know, go through that long grinding process. Right? Well, actually, I know some of you stand-up guys who do everything right, you know. You don't want to have it in your heart that you're doing something, you know, other than how it should be done. Right? But I don't have that guilty conscience. This is a video game. Right? So I will continue to bottomless box to the extent that I continue to create builds. Alright, so as I was saying before, once I determine what the build is going to be, the first things that I upgrade is the vitality and endurance, right? Because there's a bunch of griefers out there who like to, I'm not going to say bully because I think that word is overused, who like to invade early starters of the game, right? Because most of them absolutely suck at the higher levels, so they get a lot of their humanity by bullying on the early starters. And that is the reason why we first upgrade our vitality and endurance. Number one, vitality, in the event that some of those guys are using some heavy weapons, at least we can kind of survive the best way we can. And the reason for the endurance is that we can carry the best available armor that we have early on in the game, right, without having to use a Havel's ring. After we upgrade the vitality and endurance up to our standard, what we do is we boost our excuse me, particular stats last. Right now, what do I mean by particular stats? For an example, we're looking to, let's just say, create a strength build. Right. The first thing that I would do, as we just said, is upgrade the vitality and endurance. Once the vitality and endurance is where we want it, well, actually, let me take that back. Before we get it to where we want it, the first thing we're going to do is try to find the best elemental weapon before we actually start PvPing. So, as I suggested in the past, one thing that I do is I really don't PvP until at least an Orlando. And this is basically when I start a game from scratch. Now, if I'm using the bottomless box glitch, I wait until I'm at least 50. Just because I think 50, at least 50 is fair to everybody. Right? Most people would have reached an Orlando by level 50, which would have given them access to the lightning path weapons. Right? So, as I was saying before, we will get our first lightning weapon, and then once we get our vitality and endurance along with our elemental weapon, then we would upgrade the strength. Right? Because we can do strength last as long as we have a lightning weapon, because the lightning will compensate for the lack of strength. Right? Same thing with a faith build. First things you upgrade is the endurance and vitality first. Then you will do your faith stat last. Right? Because in my personal opinion, it just simply does not make sense if you're making a PvP character. It doesn't really make sense, in my opinion, to boost your faith first. Right? Because if you're boosting your faith first to give you quick access to the wrath of gods and some of these other miracles, you're going to take a backseat to your vitality and endurance. Right? And to the extent that there's those ridiculous griefers out there, you more than likely will be one-shotted. Right? Because think about it. Let's just say you're going to create a faith build. And you say to yourself, well, hell, I mean, I could do PvE with basically, 12 vitality. Yeah, you can, right? But just 1 or 2 swipes from a claymore, and I mean, you're swimming with the fishes, chief. Right? So this is why we do vitality and endurance first, because we acknowledge the fact, and even though we don't like it, right? But we're not going to start saying that there's cyberbullying and all this nonsense about how the game is broken, because we're not going to complain. We're just going to acknowledge the existence of these guys and try to prepare the best way we can. Right? And this is why I don't like the guys that complain about a lot of these things. You just have to change up the things that you do once you acknowledge the conditions that you're subject to. Right? So enough about that. As I said, once this series is over, I'm going to go back into PvP videos. I know that's why I got a lot of you guys' subscriptions in the beginning, and I do not want to neglect you. Right? So, as you guys know, I'm basically at the end of the game. Because we just have to finish out Demon Ruins, dive down into the Tomb of the Giants, take care of Nito, and then after that, with regard to character building, is nothing but PvP. Right? Because with regard to character building, now that we've finished the game, we've received the miracles, we've received the sorceries, and everything intelligence related. So basically, we just need to evolve to the level that we have previously determined by using that website. And once again, I'll include it just in case you guys are unfamiliar with the website that I'm talking about. Excuse me. Alright, so we failed an invasion. And actually, I'll just try once just for the sake of including PvP in the event that I'm not invading. But the reason why I edited a lot of the PvP matches out of it is because this series is basically centered around character building. Now, I still have all the PvP scenes saved. So what I'm thinking about doing is, before I delete those, just go ahead and include them in deleted scenes vid that is basically centered around the process of character building, because I had a reasonable amount of PvP. Not really that much, but especially once I got around Demon Ruins and some of these other areas, I actually encountered a lot of guys. So I'm thinking about including a character build series deleted scenes vid. Right. Alright, things to consider. The Centipede is basically easy. He'll kind of hit you off with these lunge attacks. And actually, before I say it's easy, keep in mind it's easier now that we have sorceries. Right? Now, in the event that you're not a sorcerer build, you're not a mage, it's still easy. What you would do is dodge those first couple lunge attacks, or I don't know what kind of attacks to call it, but those initial attacks. After that, you would just basically stay under his belly and chop at his feet. Right? And once you see him, excuse me, jump into the air, you will kind of roll to your left or your right, because what he'll do is either he'll hit you with this kind of downward fire attack, or he'll just kind of stump the crap out of you. Right? And we don't like getting stumped on. Alright, so now we have the high-speed lava ring, which will allow us to traverse this area. It's full of lava. Alright, we're at a pretty decent level at this point. Alright, just go ahead and attune our magics. Alright, let's go ahead and get the ring so we can traverse this area. Now, one thing to keep in mind, to the extent that you guys are not familiar, these are a few dozen, probably a couple dozen, large beasts, right? You do not have to sit here and arrow these beasts. You don't have to sit here and attack all of them. I never do, right? I did in the beginning. Now, if you guys notice, I have like no poise, so they staggered me. But if you have a reasonable amount of poise, you can just basically just run past them. Now, in the event, as I said before, you are not a PvP person, and you're just kind of looking to get as many souls as you can in the game to level up, you can just basically just kill all of them. But it's a long grinding process, right? Because you have to take arrows. The tactic that I used to use when I was new to the game is you would shoot two of those beasts. They would both converge on you in any attempt to attack you, but in trying to attack you, they would inflict damage on each other. Right, and I think your first playthrough, they're worth, 2,000 souls, maybe a little more, I'm not really sure. Alright. Pretty sure you guys are familiar with this. Now, what exactly do we want to do at this point? Well, actually, the reason why I hit the homework bone is, as we've been discussing, the chain of events that we need to complete in order to get that Titanite slab. One thing that I forgot to do was go back to the Fire Lake Shrine and talk to the NPC again. Right, because if you remember in the last video, we rescued the NPC from the Golden Crystal Golem. And the question was asked, had we seen her father? Right, and after we answered yes, this is where they are. And I forget the names of them, so this is why I'm kind of speaking in these abstractions. So, before we actually go meet up with the Father, we have to talk to them again in the Firelink Shrine. So, now that we've talked to them all the times that we can, basically, we're going to talk to, I think it's Katarina or something like that. I think, I'm not sure. I don't really have the wiki page in front of me. But we'll talk to them again. Basically, what he's going to do is try to kill a few enemies for us, right? But what you do not want to do is make his job harder by just sitting back and letting them go down there, right? Because they will kill him and you will not get the Titanite slab. What you would do, well, actually, I don't need to talk about it because you guys are going to see it pretty soon. Alright. Basically, I just run past these guys. I mean, there's not really a reason to sit up here and fight all these dudes. Alright, we're going to go ahead and ascend up the steps. You can fight this person if you, well, he's not a person. You can fight this monster if you want. One way to farm some of those red Titanite chunks is through killing them. I've heard in the past that if you farm them enough, you can get red Titanite slabs, right? But I've never tested it, so I'm not going to, try to verify that. But, I mean, the information is out there. So, I don't know if you guys are kind of, have some extra time and you just want to farm the 3 or 4 that are out there. I mean, be my guest, leave a comment if you end up getting a slab, but I won't be doing it. Farming sucks, dude. It absolutely sucks. Alright, so that's the end of good old Knight Kirk. Now that we've killed him in all 3 locations, the locations being, right, down into the depths, right before we fight the Gaping Dragon, in the Demon Ruins, while we're going down into the ruins right before we fight that Fire Sage. And that is the 3rd location. Now, to the extent that you want the Armor of Thorns, now that you have fought and defeated him all 3 times, you will go ahead and go to the bonfire where the Daughter of Chaos is. And when you kind of turn around toward the back wall, you guys will see the little light. Right, and that's the armor set. Okay, so this is what you want to do. You want to bring, actually I think I killed 1 or 2 of them. Yeah, I killed 2 of them. And I bring the other 2's HP down to a minimum. Right, because if you kill all of them and then talk to him, you will not get a Titanite slab. He will kind of kill himself. Right, and you don't want that to happen. You need for him to kill at least 1. Right, at least in my experiences. I know some, I might get a comment of saying, well, actually, he don't need to kill anyone. Listen, dude, I'm talking about my experiences. Now, if you have a point of reference, like a wiki page or something else, then that's cool. Or if you have some other type of high-speed way to get the Titanite slab other than the ways I'm following, go ahead, drop a suggestion for all the guys to read. All right. Alright, so let's just go ahead and wake them up. I'm pretty sure you guys are familiar with the dialogue, so I don't really need to go over it. And one thing that I do, I equip the ring, and I try to distract them by trying to get them to chase after me, right? Because to the extent that the attention is on me, they will not attack him. Unfortunately, it backfired, as you guys can see. Right, because not only did they break all of my armors and weapons, they basically broke me. Right? So I'm swimming with the fishes, as they say. Alright. So, what I need to use is one of these soldier souls, so I can repair all of my equipment. What I will not be doing is going into human form, unlike all other locations, right? Because for you guys, as I'm pretty sure you guys know, that last boss, I think it's the whatever bed of chaos. That is the absolute worst enemy in this whole game. The worst boss in the whole game. Now, to the extent that you've never fought it, why do I say that? Number one, I mean, there's like no way to avoid dying. Right? If you can go through that thing and, just kind of breeze through it, as I've done in the past, then you just got lucky, dude. You basically got lucky. But it is impossible, basically, to avoid dying from those attacks. Right? Because in some cases, they'll swipe you. Right? And you don't even have to fall to your death. But it seems like they'll just purposely just knock you down. But, I mean, like I said before, to the extent you're not familiar, I won't spoil it because we're going to have to fight this thing 3 times in this particular video before we get a successful kill. Alright. So we need to go ahead and finish the events so that we're able to get that Titanite slab. So I'll let you guys just go ahead and watch the series of events that I'm sure you guys are familiar with. We're going to go ahead and finish those series of events, and I'm going to show you where the red Titanite slab is. Alright. Yada yada yada. And as you guys just saw, you have to make sure you talk to him until he goes to sleep. Now, in the event that we did not follow one of those chain of events, he would have just died, right? And then you would miss out on the Titanite slabs. So, now that we have the red Titanite slab, we can just go ahead and homework bone back and attempt to defeat the bed of chaos. Now, I died like 3 or 4 times in this thing, so I am not going to retrace the route, right? We're just going to die the ridiculous death and then just go ahead and start up back at the fog window because it's ridiculous. And the thing about it is, it's not even that it's difficult. It's just ridiculous. Alright. So let's make our way down. And to the extent that you're new to it, here's your introduction to the worst boss of the game. The absolute worst. Those swiping arms are the ones that get you. And as you can see right now, you may say, hold on, dude, you're kind of over-exaggerating. That's not a threat. Okay, dude, let's just wait till you get there. We'll see how many times you kind of, rage quit or throw that controller down. Alright, so one tactic that I use, and to the extent that I'm able to make a successful one-time run, which I've done it before, this is what I do. I trace this circle, kind of like a track, right? And usually I can avoid those attacks, in most cases, right? Because as you guys can see in this particular, go ahead and see, here's the point. Usually for some reason, you'll just fall down there, even if when you fail, you actually wasn't going to fall. I mean, it's kind of like you'll fall in place and then, something just kind of, some ghost or something just kind of push you down into that lower area until you die. It's ridiculous. Alright. So this is usually where the headache starts. Well, it actually starts after you kind of kill the first one, but it's really a headache now. And if this is your first time playing this, well, actually I can't even say your first time, even experienced players. I mean, if you have a whole bunch of... Okay, it almost did it again. If you have a whole bunch of humanity in stock or a whole bunch of souls, you might as well just say to yourself you're going to lose it, right? So if you just kind of been breezing through on the PvP and you're kind of excited, just say to yourself, watch this crap. You see that? See, that's baloney, man. As I was saying, if you're kind of excited about, just breezing through on the PvP, by the time you get to this part, I mean, just accept that you're going to lose it, right? Just accept it. Now, in the event that you don't lose it, good for you, right? But there's been times that I've actually had like 8 million souls, right? And like 80 humanity up in my humanity window, and I just lost it all. At this point, I don't care if I have 100 million souls. I mean, I'm just going to put it in my mind that, dude, you're going to lose it, right? Because you see this ridiculous stuff. Who can avoid that? Who can avoid that? Alright, so I think this is our last attempt. And I hope so, because I absolutely hate this boss. Once again with those ridiculous arms. And down the ledge. Alright guys, so that is pretty much it for this particular area. Stay tuned for the last and final vid where we attempt to kill Nito. Martyr's Brigade is out.